Okay. Hey guys, it's Lily.
And Coco.
We're going to be a little bit more serious during this video today. We're trying to keep a level head. I know some of our podcast episodes and some of our videos have been a little like, what did I describe it to you as? Like attitude, like...
Yeah. More for an entertainment value than
Yeah.
for actually proving a point, because the stuff that we were ranting about or complaining about before was really trivial and minimal compared to what's going on in the world today. And we feel like, I feel like YouTube is kind of our soapbox, and we have things that we want to say, and this is our media to be able to say it, and we want to say what we're thinking and how we're feeling,
And we're not just funny.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say it. But we can be serious too. And we are wanting to talk about everything that happened this weekend. Pretty much. I mean, the Women's March is a big one.
The inauguration.
Mm-hmm. And so what we did this time, so instead of just ad-libbing everything, we actually wrote everything down, and we're going to be reading from what we wrote. So whenever we speak, we're going to be looking down. So I apologize for that, but we haven't memorized these or anything. We literally just wrote them, but it's going to be our opinion. Basically, I mean, yours is mainly about the Women's March, right?
Yeah.
Because mine is too. We're just going to be expressing our opinions about the Women's March and what it meant to us. We realize that there are so many different opinions on it right now. It's a huge controversy, so we don't want to make a rise out of this video. We want to bring awareness and
kind of educate people on the reasoning behind it.
And why we feel the way we feel about it personally. So, do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
So, my focus on this issue was mainly from where I saw a lot of people posting on Facebook about, like, why did this happen? Women have rights already. Like, why are you doing this? And I actually just recently shared an article going a little bit more into detail and that I thought explained things very well on my Facebook. That was like, sorry, you're not equal, or something. I think that's what it was titled. But if you have me on Facebook, go read that article because it explains a lot.
It's really good.
But my thoughts about it were, if you consider yourself lucky if you don't understand why the Women's March happened, that means that you are privileged enough to not feel like your rights are being taken away. The Women's March was not just about women's rights. It was about everyone's rights. The LGBT community, people of color, disabled people, immigrants, men and women both joined this cause to send the message to the government that we will join together to defend everyone's human rights. This march was to fight for the people that will lose their health care if the Affordable Care Act is repealed. This march was for the right to our own bodies, and no, that doesn't mean just abortions and the right to have one. We all have the right to live freely without the threat of someone touching us or trying to attack us or trying to rape us, and to be able to walk down the street and not fear for our lives or our innocence. And the march was to end the inequality between men and women at the workplace, in society, and from the government. It was to stand up for the rights that had been so freshly given to same-sex couples that with this new presidency have feared their marriages will now become illegal. If you don't feel like this march had anything to do with you, then that's fine. It didn't, because this world isn't always about you, and because there are people like us and the millions of other people that walked those streets, and the brave women and men that came before us that had the guts to say that this wasn't right, and that you have the privilege to feel that way. And the biggest reason that I believe in this march and this movement is because one day I want my daughter to grow up in a world where she can love anybody she wants to, regardless of their gender, their race, their political affiliation, their poverty level, anything. I want her to be able to love whoever she wants, and where her value will come from her contributions to society and her merit as a person. Not how she looks in a bathing suit, not how she looks in makeup, not from what she can do for a man or do for anyone else but herself. And in a world where she doesn't have to see herself as a lesser being because of her gender.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing, because I can already see the world not being that kind of place right now.
And that's scary too, for me. And, you have Olivia, and she's a healthy and beautiful and an intelligent little girl. And that is so scary. And just to think that that's, me and Tommy also want a healthy, beautiful, intelligent baby. And if we do have a little girl, gosh, I feel it. I feel that. I can't even imagine how scary that must seem for you and Trey. Man. So another thing I just thought of, like, I think people get offended sometimes when they are called or when they hear the word privileged. But the fact about it is, people who are oppressed, they want to be privileged too. They want to be just like the people who are privileged. So it's not a bad thing to be privileged. It's a bad thing, or it's not in your best interest to degrade the people who are oppressed. And being privileged, that's awesome. And that's what we are all fighting for right now, is to be privileged too. So I kind of just wanted to throw that out there, because I think when people hear that word, they're just like, ooh, privilege, like, ooh, that is so bad. It's actually not. It's actually what we're all fighting for in the first place. So, okay. So to me, the Women's March stood for empowerment, awareness, and perseverance. Some would argue against the march, making statements such as, we, women, already have rights. This was a cry for attention. This was an unproductive and counterintuitive way to express an opinion. Some feel that this did more harm than good, pointing out some reckless, violent, and disrespectful acts that may have happened. To these opinions, I say this: there will always be people who take advantage of a meaningful and positive situation. But are these the only people that you are seeing? I'll tell you who I saw. I saw my LGBT friends and allies who proudly marched that day. My beloved LGBT community who fear that their rights might be stripped away and who want to have a voice. I saw women who have been victims of domestic crime marching as one in fear of their protection being taken away. I saw women who marched for their right to have a more logical maternity leave. I saw women who marched for their right to breastfeed in public without any public slurs and shame. I saw women who marched to end the social stigmas about having the perfect body and to no longer be a sex symbol. I saw sisterhood, strength, and power beyond measure. I saw millions of not only women but men unify as one for a greater cause. These are the reasons I applaud the march. There will always be two sides, and I realize that some have viewed the march in a negative light. All I can ask is for you to remember that there will always be situations and individuals in this world who walk with different strides, at different paces, and with different perspectives. I choose to always keep an open mind when it comes to an opposed people who desperately need a voice.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And another point that I want to bring up is, and that I saw a lot, was that